Senator Ted Cruz is outraged at the Supreme Court for its rulings in favor of Obamacare as well as same-sex marriage. So mad that he's calling to change the Constitution to allow for judicial elections. Now, wait a minute here. Well, I thought Ted Cruz was a strict constitutionalist. I thought he was like, Constitution, Constitution, Constitution. Well, now suddenly he wants to change the Constitution. Interesting. Now, Megyn Kelly of Fox News is not having any of it. She, of course, is going to grill Ted Cruz on this in this awesome clip. Let's watch.
Okay, so let's start with that plan for the U.S. Supreme Court. I know you're unhappy with the decisions, but Alexander Hamilton, the complete independence of the courts is peculiarly essential in a limited Constitution. Now you want to rewrite the Constitution in response to a couple of decisions you don't like?
Well, Megyn, it's great to be with you. Thank you for having me. And last week's decisions were the latest in a long line and sadly were the nadir of the Supreme Court. It was a majority of the justices on Thursday rewriting Obamacare, disregarding the law, forcing that failed law on millions of Americans, hurting millions of Americans. And then on Friday, the marriage decision was utterly contrary to the Constitution. They're simply making it up. And as Justice Scalia powerfully said in dissent, that decision was an assault on our democracy. It was 5 unelected lawyers setting themselves up, and these are Scalia's words, as the rulers of all 320 million Americans.
But in response to a decision that you feel was politically motivated by the justices who are in the majority, you want to make the court more political?
If you don't want the courts to be political, then why would you put them up for political office? It would make no sense to have them have to do with elections. And besides, in a system like ours, maybe it would work out in their favor if they would be allowed to spend money in order to advertise, hey, I'm a good judge, right? Keep me. Don't vote me out by, of course, buying ads through our electoral system. I don't know if that's how it would work, but I can only imagine that it's a possibility of how that would work. And of course, that might not turn out well for people like us. It might turn out well for Ted Cruz. However, Megyn Kelly says there's a good chance for that to go the opposite way. And she points out that scenario in this next clip.
How would an electorate that twice elected Barack Obama create a court that you like better than the one we have now?
Well, let's be clear. What I'm talking about are judicial retention elections, which means you'd have the same appointment, the same Senate confirmation. But every 8 years, the people would have an up or down vote with the option to remove a justice.
What if the people bounced out Scalia and Alito and Thomas, and we had a President Obama in the White House?
Once again, another good question of what might happen if Ted Cruz possibly gets his way. Here we are. Here we have conservatives, after a couple of rulings they don't like, now calling to change the Constitution. Oh my God, let's change the Constitution. Let's change Article 3. Even some are calling to get rid of Article 3. The judicial system altogether, the Supreme Court altogether. Because of a couple of decisions that they don't like. And yet, when it makes a decision that they love, not a peep. Not a peep. In fact, they'll sit there and defend decisions that they love. For example, Citizens United. You did not hear anyone from the left calling for a constitutional amendment to change the courts. Even Gore v. Bush, back in 2000. That decision. You can see liberals out there saying, let's just do away with the judicial branch. No. See, this is a good example of conservative overreaction and flip out. As I said, whenever the court does something that they don't like, they scream bloody murder. But when it does stuff that they love, for example, rule on behalf of corporations, which the Roberts Court is the most pro-corporate court in history, even the Obamacare ruling. He says that it's completely unpopular. Oh my, I can't believe they ruled on Obamacare. Well, Obamacare is incredibly pro-corporate. In fact, a lot of the insurance companies in the health industry absolutely love Obamacare because they make a lot of money from it. the most pro-corporate court in history. And Ted Cruz is basically whining and crying and saying, oh my God, how dare you make decisions that I don't like. And then Megyn Kelly, this forces Megyn Kelly to actually act like a journalist and ask tough questions to Ted Cruz. This actually makes Megyn Kelly look like she's actually doing her job as a journalist when she asks these tough questions. And it's actually good to see Megyn Kelly ask tough questions of somebody. That's at least one thing. At least when it comes to the sphere of Fox News, these are considered tough questions. And I'm glad Megyn Kelly is actually out there saying these and asking these questions and talking about this and really challenging some of these candidates, these far-right fringe candidates like Ted Cruz, challenging them on some of their bullshit ideas. As I said, people like Ted Cruz are so crazy that they make Megyn Kelly look reasonable, and that in itself is kind of troubling.